people, welcome back to my channel. Here is Ray. As you can see, I'm now having a super completely totally new background because I just moved from one place to another. So, welcome back. Today, I want to talk about something real. Have you ever had one of those moments when something just keeps running through your mind over and over? Like you're in bed trying to relax, but your mind just won't stop thinking about that one thing. It's like a broken recorder, you can't turn it off. This kind of behavior actually has a name in psychology. It's called rumination. And today I want to talk about what that is, why it happens, and how to deal with it. The term rumination actually came from animal behavior. That is when animals chew their food and swallow in and then bring it back to chew again. But in the context of our mind, is when we get stuck on a negative event. We overthink about it repeatedly without solving anything. And that is the key. We keep thinking about it, but nothing gets solved. You just can let it go. This is the main difference between us and cows. Ours is toxic. So every time we ruminate, it creates this vicious cycle where something happens and then we have these negative emotions and then we ruminate. With rumination, there's more negative emotions and then more rumination. There are some possible reasons for this. The main one, I'll say it could be from the evolutionary perspective. Our mind are wired to remember dangers and negative experiences because it did help our ancestors to survive from those risky and dangerous environments. But for us, the modern humans, this mechanism has kind of become way too sensitive. We treat things like social rejection, like workplace drama and breakups as those life or death situations. And that feeling is triggering this ruminative system that is not too useful anymore, or I'll say is even harmful. The second reason is more psychologically. Some people are extra sensitive to uncertainty and feeling like they have to have this sense of control. We're often in a rush in life to find something sure, as we can only feel safe when we have control on everything. And we also have a name for this. This is called the intolerance to uncertainty. I'm going to leave a chart here where you can do some self-testing if you want to. For myself, I can totally relate to this one. When something happens, I feel like I need to fix it right away. I have to do something. Is that feeling of I can't relax until I get a clear answer. This is often called the need for closure tendency, where you feel like a sentence has not been completed. This half sentence is like hanging in the air. This happens especially when you just went through some harsh breakup, when they left you without any reason or without telling you why. So the consequence is we keep thinking about it because we want a closure. And rumination, this action of keep thinking about it. Sometimes we might think like if I did that at that moment, maybe the consequence would be different. Maybe he'll stay, or maybe we're still together. So this rumination somehow is giving us a sense of control. But remember, this is a totally fake sense of control, and it will end up making us feel worse. And the third reason why we ruminate is that because sometimes there is an unresolved emotional feeling. You might say, it's okay, I'm fine, or never mind at the time. But later, when you think about it, you might still feel like unsure or frustrated. Maybe you didn't even realize that you felt upset at the moment, or you just dismissed the feeling. You might tell yourself, don't think about it, like leave it somewhere, or don't be that sensitive. But believe me, your body feels it. Whenever you think about it, your body still feels tense. You didn't fully experience or express that emotional feeling, that emotional sensation. So it keeps knocking on your door, saying like, hey, knock knock, I'm still here, don't ignore me. And that's where rumination comes from. The most important thing I want to tell you today is that this is normal. This is not your personal weakness. Just because you're ruminating or you can't get rid of some thoughts doesn't mean you're weak or flawed. It's something that many people experience. So, what can we do about it? There are some very useful psychology tricks that can help. If you've been struggling with rumination, I want to walk you through these 5 steps to help you stop that cycle. Try to follow me, pause if you have to, and come back whenever you feel like you're ready for the next step. Step 1. Feel yourself and label those feelings. When rumination hits, try putting everything down for a moment and focus on sensing your body. Give yourself about 10 minutes and find a place that you feel calm, you feel safe and alone. Maybe your shoulders are tense or your stomach is aching, and that's okay. Feel them. In that moment, try to ask yourself, what exactly am I worried about? Then label those thoughts. When you're not sure, you can simply call them the thought number 1 or that thought. The name doesn't matter. But this action of labeling can actually help your amygdala, so the part where controlling emotions, sensations, feelings, to calm down. And it can help ease the tension and anxiety in your body. This is actually a very useful way in therapies because in fact, the action of labeling is linked with understanding. That means something that was abstract is now more concrete. And being more concrete, there's less of that unknown. And with understanding, there is the possibility that we know how to deal with it. So that's why I'll try to recommend to everybody, whenever you feel tense, whenever you feel uneasy, try to label that feeling. Step 2, bring your attention back to your body. The second step is to ground yourself in the present moment. Focus on your breathing. Now your mind might still want to drift back to that unwanted thought, and that's okay. The key here is to recognize when it happens and guide your focus back. In therapy, there is a very powerful technique that is called allowing everything to happen. Allowing is super powerful. Just tell yourself, it's okay. I can feel unsure. I can feel anxious. I can feel stressed. That's just a part of life. And every time you see those ruminative thoughts, just try to picture them as clouds passing by. So they're moving from one side of the sky to the other. And every time they pass by, just let them pass. Step 3, respond to those feelings. Tell them, I don't know. Respond to those thoughts with a simple phrase. This is kind of like trying to give a closure to yourself. So instead of waiting for somebody or for someone to give you a closure, give yourself that closure. Either you tell yourself that what is done has been done, is now in the past, or you just tell yourself, I don't know. And as you do this, try to slow down your breathing. And with each breath, remind yourself, everyone goes through a moment like this. I can be kind to myself. Step 4, write it down. The next step is to get those repetitive thoughts out of your mind and write them down onto paper. This is a technique used in CBT. Writing it down is also a process of making something that's abstract, that's like in the air, that's in your mind onto paper, which is more concrete. You can see the words, they're just right in front of you. And by doing that, it can give your mind the permission to let go of it. For myself, this one really works. I'll usually prepare a paper and a pencil and just write down everything going through my mind. Like every sentence, it could be incomplete, it could be weird. All of them are acceptable. Just write them down. And then my next step would be after I wrote almost everything on my mind until I get tired of it and I don't want to write anything anymore. So I stop here. And then the next step would be I'll write a sentence of conclusion. I did all I can do, so now it's time to let it go. And then step 3 is to put this piece of paper into a box. And this box is actually pretty symbolic. So when you put whatever you wrote into that box, you could tape it and just write on the box whatever had happened. This unfair thing happened to me 2025. And you put it into a drawer. By doing this, by doing all this process, you're actually telling yourself that, okay, this thing has been taken care of. This feeling, whatever feeling that is, it has been taken care. So now I can put it away. Now I can put it somewhere. And then finally, so what we said was step 4 is to write it down. And then finally, the step 5, do something. Ask yourself, is there anything else I can do right now? If there is, go ahead and take action. Doing something can help us to restore that feeling of control. But most of the time, I'll say 90% of the time, there is nothing much you can do. But if you want to, there is still something you can do. You can try to describe the whole situation. For example, if it's a breakup, so how the relationship started, how it developed, and how it ended. This process itself can help to learn and grow, and as you look at the situation more objectively, your emotion will start to settle, like it will kind of ease your emotional pain. And then next is to switch your attention to something else. So these are 5 steps I would recommend to anybody who has or who is now stuck in this cycle of rumination. Try these and save yourself. I also want to share 2 bonus techniques that are super helpful to myself. So the first one, I'll call it the set a worry time. That is, give yourself permission to worry about this thing for a set amount of time each day. For example, you could say, okay, so I'm going to think about it maybe for 10 minutes tonight at 8 p.m. Because by setting this worry time, you don't need to carry that burden all day long anymore. You can start to give yourself some peace of mind. And if your ruminative thoughts pop up before the scheduled time, just, tell it not yet. You're scheduled for later. And finally, be kind to yourself. Treat yourself like you would treat a good friend. Think about it. If a friend was going through the same issue, the same situation, would you tell them to keep obsessing? I don't think so, right? You would tell them to take care of their needs and let it go. So be kind to yourself as well. If you're thirsty, drink water. If you're tired, get some sleep. The goal here is to take care of yourself physically and mentally. This act of self-care can actually and can really help reduce rumination. So please, if you are now in this cycle of ruminating, of thinking about something that you can't change, try these steps and I'm sure you can save yourself. So remember, change never happens overnight. It's normal that after trying all these steps, after trying everything you can, your thoughts are still here. I understand, like totally. The goal here is about to slowly shortening the length and the frequency of these ruminative thoughts. Because for sure, that life will still have its ups and downs. But over time, you won't be stuck in those loops for as long. So don't worry. Don't be harsh on yourself. Be kind to yourself. You don't have to feel weak for experiencing these. Tell yourself, this is a common issue, this is a part of life, and I have enough tools to help myself. Alright, so that's it for today's video. I think it's a bit longer than expected, but I hope it can help. Thank you so much for watching. Here is Ray, a therapist who loves to talk about everyday emotion. If you found this helpful, feel free to share it and also to leave a comment. And if you like me, my video, or want to know more about psychology, hit like and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next Friday.